If you've been around Canyon Lake lately, you've probably noticed the water levels are lower than normal. And it's something a lot of residents and buyers are concerned about right now. I've seen the same comments many of you have, concerned about droughts and water supply and whether the lake will ever return to normal levels. So in this video, I want to talk honestly about what's happening, what to expect, and what residents and buyers should realistically understand about Canyon Lake and the water levels. Hi, I'm Ryan Parker. I'm a Texas real estate broker here in the Canyon Lake area, and I work closely with land and home construction throughout the Hill Country. I live here, work here, and like many of you, I care deeply about this area and the long-term future of Canyon Lake. In this video, I want to walk through 5 important things. Why Canyon Lake levels are so low, how the lake actually fills, what the history shows about drought cycles, what growth and water demand really mean, and what buyers and residents should realistically expect moving forward. Let's start with the obvious. Yes, Canyon Lake levels have dropped significantly over the past several years. This isn't just perception, it's measurable. At certain points in recent years, the lake reached some of the lowest levels seen in more than 50 to 60 years, largely due to prolonged drought conditions affecting the Hill Country region. And even today, the lake is still well below what's considered full, which is about 909 feet above sea level, known as the conservation pool. That drop has had real impacts. Boat ramps closing, shoreline changes, property views changing, recreational access becoming limited. So if you're concerned, you're not alone. This is something residents across the region are paying attention to. So the biggest reasons Canyon Lake levels are so low is long-term drought. Not just a dry summer, but several years of below average rainfall. In fact, experts point to 5 to 7 years of unusually low rainfall, especially across the watershed north of the lake, where inflow actually matters the most. That's important because Canyon Lake doesn't refill from like local rain alone. It relies heavily on rainfall upstream, especially in the Guadalupe River watershed, which feeds into the reservoir. When that rainfall doesn't happen, water keeps leaving the lake, but not enough is flowing back in to replace it. In simple terms, more water is leaving than entering, and that's what causes levels to fall over time. This is something many people misunderstand. Canyon Lake was created in 1964 primarily for flood control and water supply, not just recreation. That means it was designed to protect downstream communities from flooding, store water during drought, supply water to surrounding areas, and the way it refills is important to understand as well. The lake fills from rainfall upstream, runoff from the Guadalupe River, and major storm events. Sometimes people assume normal rainfall will refill the lake, but that's usually not enough. Experts have noted that average rainfall alone doesn't refill the lake. It usually takes above average rainfall or major storm events to significantly raise levels. And historically, that's exactly what has happened. This is very important, and often it's overlooked. Canyon Lake, like many reservoirs in Texas, goes through cycles. Periods of drought, followed by periods of refill. There have been several major flood events throughout the lake's history that dramatically raised water levels, including floods in 1978, 1987, early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Each of those events pushed lake levels significantly higher in a relatively short period of time. More recently, after severe drought conditions, heavy rainfall raised the water levels over a dozen feet, allowing previously closed boat ramps to reopen. So history shows, yes, drought happens, but refill cycles happen too. Now, let's talk about something many of you have mentioned in the comments: growth. There's no question that growth raises concern about water use, and that is a valid concern. More homes and more people naturally increase demand, but Canyon Lake is not just a recreational lake. It's part of a regional regulated water system managed by organizations responsible for water supply, planning, and flood control. Water managers, they monitor inflows, outflows, storage levels, regional demands, and long-term planning is consistently being adjusted to deal with change in population and climate patterns. At the same time, conservation efforts are becoming more important, and the responsibility belongs to everyone living in this region. Homes in this area who have water services typically come from Texas Water Company. They pull from a mix of sources like Canyon Lake, the Trinity Aquifer, and even some purchased regional water depending on demand. So when you hear people talk about water out here, it's not just one source, it's a combination that has to be managed carefully. In fact, they've actually paused or denied water services to some new developments out here because of drought and growth, and have strongly encouraged water conservation amongst residents. Here's where I want to speak directly to the buyers and future residents. If you're considering moving to Canyon Lake, you should understand lake levels, they do fluctuate, sometimes significantly. This isn't unique to Canyon Lake. It happens across many reservoirs in Texas, especially during long drought cycles. Even recently, the lake has continued to lose millions of gallons per day due to evaporation and reduced inflows during hot, dry periods. But here's the other side of that reality. Canyon Lake has historically shown resilience. It has recovered from drought before, sometimes quickly after major flood events, and it remains one of the more stable reservoirs in the region overall. So the big takeaway is this. Yes, Canyon Lake water levels are low right now. That's the reality of a long drought cycle in the central Texas area. But history also shows that lakes like this move in cycles. You got drought, refill, recovery. So understanding those cycles helps residents and buyers make informed decisions without reacting purely out of fear or uncertainty. If you're thinking about buying, building, or investing in the Texas Hill Country, especially around Canyon Lake, Spring Branch, and New Braunfels, I'd be happy to help. I'm Ryan Parker. I'm a Texas real estate broker with Collaborative Realty, and I also run Parker Design and Consulting, where we help people design smarter homes and navigate the construction process. My goal is simple: help people buy or build better homes, not just a house. If you're relocating to the area, I created a free Hill Country relocation guide that covers the best neighborhoods, land buying tips, building costs, and what to expect living out here. You can download that guide at hillcountry.collab-rt.com. And if you have any questions about buying land, building a home, or finding the right property, feel free to reach out anytime. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.